as the existing trees, the original trees ruined, as they get too big for their locations, will those same new trees be?
These won't root under the sidewalk and do what we're having a problem with some of the larger trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, so far the city hasn't said anything, we call them to fix the sidewalks, and they haven't said anything about the responsibility,
Well, I've noticed, new markings farther away from the actual, bad sidewalk, so someone's been out.
Yeah, they plan on, demoing those slabs.
Okay.
That's what they say, they wrote demo on the ones to be demoed.
Yeah.
They plan on demoing the slabs and pouring new, but my concern is when they start to do that type of work, are they gonna come to us and say, the tree's gotta go?
Right.
So we'll just keep working on
In front of our
it.
house, I called the city because I've had to call 911.
Right.
Because of people tripping and injuring themselves. It's very bad. So they have marked that to replace that whole patch.
The new markings too, like recent, like they're numbered now.
Yeah, I think they planned on coming earlier and then didn't, so now they've been out again to look at it.
Yeah, their budget cut.
So that's the reason for the change in the budget. If you look at the expenditures, you'll see a growth in the bottom line, and that's attributed to the cost of replacing those trees. So that'll be in our 2012 budget, and we'll spend that money after the new year. So, any more discussion on the budget?
Yes.
Yep.
Terry Rexroth, who is a wonderful neighbor of ours, she lives on the left-hand side when you first turn in Woodside Way, and we maintain the right-hand side, and we do not maintain that whole left-hand side corner there. And Terry is so kind. She's a single parent of 4 children. She works full-time, and she's very active, but she has a lot of health problems, and I was wondering if there's any way that we could put that into the budget to maintain that side also of the entrance.
Yeah, that's one of the things that came up in one of our board meetings that I brought up, is that when you come up from McLeod and turn into our neighborhood, it looks beautiful because you're looking at the sign. But when you go down to Hagen's and come back and make a right turn into our neighborhood, it doesn't represent the way I feel we should represent. And so, and I'm not sure, I wasn't part of the putting in the grass, but when we, before we put grass in our medians, we had just stuff, I think gravel or some kind of rocks or something in there.
Lava rock.
And lava rocks, yeah. And then as you turned up the hill, then it became whatever the homeowner wanted to put in there. And so we made it nice and uniform, but the one spot that was totally missed was that as you come around that corner, there's just like pea gravel or something in there that never stays put, and then the weeds grow up out of it. So, my vision is that we do something that represents the same kind of impact at the other side. I don't mean we have to put a big Woodside sign or anything, but cosmetically make it match the other side. So when you use your new email official form of communication and contact your board member, put that in as we want this to happen. Now we wouldn't go on to, let me finish on just this real quick. We wouldn't go on to private property and do anything, but we would make it seamless where we wouldn't want to make it look like something different than the private property that's around it. So we would make it fit the neighborhood and fit that property, yes.
Would it be more appropriate for someone at this meeting to make an official proposal to the board to look into taking on that responsibility?
Yeah, that's always appropriate.
Okay, well then, may I?
You can.
Okay, I would like, I don't know, Jim, do you know, is there a special format or something? But
well, we would typically do it in other business, but we're on this, we expanded from the budget onto this really quick, so we'll just take 1 minute and we'll do that.
Okay, so I would like, the part where the Woodside sign is, we own that apparently, but the other side we don't. So I would ask the board to investigate opportunities to upgrade at minimal expense to the association, but at maximum beauty to our members, the northeast corner of Woodside Woodside and Chandler Parkway and see what you guys can come up with, if there's any good plans for that.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion? Or did we discuss the heck out of it already?
And that we would know that, I would see us too contacting, what's her name, is it Terry?
Terry.
Terry, to
Terry,
make sure, like we've always done in other landscaped areas, it's common property. If it's adjacent to private property, we talk to the owner.
Okay.
So I don't know if that needs to be in the motion or not, but I'd like it understood that we'd also contact Terry and work out something together there.
That's our normal practice.
Yeah, I know it is, I just wanted to voice it though.
Yeah. I would also mention that we do have some additional monies in the budget for things like this right now, this
Right.
in the proposed budget. So it's gonna be contingent on that too. If that budget is approved, then that gives us a better opportunity to be able to do it.
A couple years ago, we negotiated with the neighbor across Woodside from Terry because there were vision problems, their bushes were, and they were very accommodating and cooperative, and I'm sure that Terry would, whatever Woodside would.
My part of the discussion would be this: does anybody know why, when we put grass in and came around the corner, why we didn't continue with the grass all the way around the corner?
Well, that's her property. We just did the sidewalk planting strips. What you're talking about where the gravel is, that's her corner.
Yeah, I
and-
haven't, so that's a good point.
Mm.
That's private property.
I would like to, look at where like my property doesn't go to the sidewalk, so I just anticipate that nobody's property goes all the way to the sidewalk. They maintain it all the way to the sidewalk, but your actual stake in the ground isn't at the edge of the sidewalk. And it might be, because I don't know, but I think we should look into that, and either way, we should find a way to get it to be uniform and look in
I
there,
would
so.
like to make a suggestion. Terry's a very kind person. She's a good friend of mine, and, she, even mentioned that she would be willing to maintain it herself and not pay her due for yearly due. And she would maintain the whole corner, which is kind of her to suggest.
Okay. Yeah, I anticipate that it's probably community property and not private property, but
Okay.
whichever way it goes, it looks like we got it taken care of. So do we wanna take a vote on this? So we're gonna, what we're voting on is.
Oh, I
that-
second it. I didn't hear a second.
I seconded it.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
you did?
that's
I
why
did
we-
second
Oh,
it.
okay, I'm
We-
sorry.
I move the discussion
glad-
be closed and we move the previous question.
Very good, I'm glad you're up to speed then. So what we would like to do is, what we're gonna vote on is that the board is going to address the issue of that corner and approach it in a manner that we can improve it up to the standards of the surrounding community property. Okay, so that's what we're voting on. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Cool, okay. Very good, so now let's get back to the budget. This is what it is. There are funds in the budget for, grounds, and so, I don't anticipate having a problem taking on a project like that with this year's proposed budget. But, if there is an issue with that, there's a new line item on this budget, I think. Anyway, it's money for me.
No, it's not on this one.
It's not on this budget?
It's on the proposed budget for 2012.
That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Is it here somewhere? Anyway, there should be $1,000 in there somewhere for the,
Discretionary funds.
yeah,
Yep,
for the
that's
president to have, yeah, so anyway, so that gives us some room if we run out of money in one of the other budget areas. We can vote that money to be moved into something like this, or if we had an emergency, something, we could do that.
Would
So.
that kind of action appear in the board minutes?
It would
You
be,
guys
yeah, it's a
move-
board,
Without a doubt, it's a board decision, Stu.
it's a board decision that would have to be voted on by the board, so. Okay, so, anybody wanna make a motion on the budget?
For the 2012 budget, I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on this evening, and I should.
That's okay.
Is it proposed that we, put in a basketball court behind where, Amy and Warren Rosenthal live?
It's not proposed to do that, but if you'd like to make that proposal, we could discuss it.
No, I would not like
Okay,
to.
so, no, but, yeah. Okay, so, any more discussion on the budget? Great, somebody wanna make a motion that we close the discussion on the budget so we can vote on it?
I close it.
Okay, great, all right. Thank you. Okay, so what we're voting on is the proposed budget for, 2012. Okay, and so all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, good. The budget passes, so we'll be able to be in business next year. Okay, so, common grounds, that's Ron's area of expertise. And, if you drove around the community, our community, you notice that we look as fine as any of the fine communities in Bellingham. And that's because Ron is, responsible for it. He maintains all our common areas and, including communicating with arborists and landscapers and that kind of thing, so that he's become kind of our resident expert. He seemed to have a knowledge about it before he started with us, but with 2 years under his belt, I think he's really become an expert on the plants and shrubs that we have in our common areas. And if you aren't familiar with our common areas, this is what Woodside looks like on the map, okay? So most of us, we have a little piece of property like this to maintain, 10,000 square feet. That seems to take me all year. And when I barely get it maintained, I have to start all over again. Okay, Ron has an area like this. All that green area is Ron's area to maintain. Okay, so, you don't work, do you, Ron?
Well, we've had some nice work parties over there.
Yeah,
Looks like
so,
it works fine.
so he seems to find a way to get it done, and it's really cool, and I appreciate it a lot, because our neighborhood looks something like that. And this is, from last year, when the trees were looking great, and I didn't get out there, when there was fair weather. But drive around our neighborhood and be proud of it, because it really is nice. The other thing he does is, he maintains our community park. This is our park, okay? And so, it takes up a bit of time and a bit of space. That is what our park, used to look like. Okay, there was no landscaping in these areas. We had lots of big overgrown shrubbery. And Ron has done a good job this year of changing that. You see how the grass is all dead now? So,
It's all Ron's work.
way to keep it up, Ron. So anyway, no, we've made some changes. We've removed the shrubbery that was in this area and opened that up. And if you were at any of the social events, you saw the value in having that. We also put in some planting beds along these rockeries in anticipation of keeping kids from stepping over those if they were on there playing, or if we had a social event that got out of hand and people were we'll talk about that later when we get to social events. So anyway, that's some of the progress on the park. This is what our park entrance looked like after we had expanded our trail system last year, which was very, very nice. But this is what it looks like now. So if you hadn't had a chance to walk